Hello and welcome to R&D Mathematics. Today we are going to talk about rational equations. In the previous video, we talked about linear equations. That means things like this. Or even when you have some denominators, things like that. Now, in those equations, variable appeared in the numerator. Now, what we are going to talk about today, variable will appear in the denominator. That's why the name rational. Now let's see some examples and understand what to do. Let's say we have to solve for x in this equation. And here, okay, so we have to find a value for x that satisfies this equation. Now the first step, so let me point out first steps, the first and most important thing, by observing, you must tell x can't be what. So in this equation, that means this idea comes from, you can't divide by 0. So can't divide by 0, because if you divide by 0, weird things will happen. Now, x is in the denominator, so just by looking at it, we can say x can be 0 here, because if x is 0, I am dividing 0 by 0 here and here, right? So it can't be 0. Now, this is a good place to make a note. For example, let's say you had a term like this. In your expression, you had a term like this. In this case, you take this guy and it can't be 0, right? That means x can't be 1, because when you put x equal 1, that's the value and gives you 0. It's not x equals 0. Now x equal 1 gives you x minus 1 equals 0, right? So please understand that. In this equation, it's just x, so x can be 0 in our example. Now, next step, you have to find the least common denominator. Now, when I say LCD, here least common denominator of 3x, 2x and 3, these four numbers. Well, since you have 3 and 2, you must have 6. And not just 6, but we have x terms, so 6x, that will work. So that's how you find least common denominator. Think about this. The least number that you can divide by each of these terms, 3x, 2x and 3. Or in other words, the least number that is a multiple of each of these numbers. So it's 6x. Okay. And then after that, pretty much the same thing. You multiply all equation by your least common denominator. And again, as I pointed in the previous video, I really suggest you to put parentheses. Now expand it. That's the first term, plus 6x times 1/2 equals 6x 4 over x plus 6x 4 over 3. Now you can keep cancelling. 3 times 2 and x will cancel. The reason why here we agreed x can be 0. That's another important step. That's another important thing in our first step. Okay, 2 times 3 and here x and x will cancel. Here 3 times 2. Now let's simplify this. So here in the first part you only have 2 into 2, so you have 4. And in the second part, you have 3x. And in the third part, 24. And plus 2x into 4, so 8x. Right? Now let's take all the x's to one side. Let me write it over here. So let me write it over here. I would like to take all the x's to right hand side because I have 8x in right hand side, 3x in left hand side. So when I take 3x to other side, I get negative 3x. So 8 minus 3x, I get 5x on my right hand side. When I take 24 to left hand side, I get negative 24. So for minus 24, I get negative 20. Now I just need to divide by 5. X is going to be negative 4. And that's my answer. Okay, I think so. The steps, just by observing, setting up your denominator equals to 0, and you can tell x cannot be, x will never be this number. Now you'll understand why this is really important. Let me show you an example. Yeah, when you see this example, you will understand that. Now let's say we have 2x over x minus 2 and then minus 3 equals 4 over x minus 2. Okay, the first step by observation, or you can, you can take your denominators and make it 0, so you get x equal to, so actually your denominator can't be 0, so do this, so x can't be 2. Now again, let me show you, what if you had equation like this. In this case, okay, from this guy x can't be 2, and from this guy x can't be 1, and from this guy x can be 0. So there are 3 numbers to omit, right? If your example was like that. But again, that kind of example can be a little complicated. But now let's go back to our equation. So x can be 2. Now the least common denominator, in this case, you only see one denominator. So that's least common denominator is just x minus 2. Because you only have that denominator. So multiply the whole thing by that equation. So 2x over x minus 2 minus 3, a big parenthesis for the left hand side, and another parenthesis for right hand side, just to be nicer, x minus 2. Term by term, x minus 2, it's better to put a parenthesis around x minus 2 as well now. Minus this into this, this into this is first term, 3 times x minus 2 equals x minus 2 times 4 over x minus 2. X minus 2 and x minus 2 will cancel because x is not 2. So x minus 2 is not 0, so you can do that. That's the reason why in the first step we omit those values which makes our denominator 0. Here's the same thing. Now we can simplify. So 2x, 3x plus 6, I distributed it, equals 0. Now I get 2x minus, so I get negative 2x equals 4 minus 6. So negative 2x equals negative 2. When I divide both sides by negative, I think I made a, yeah. Here too, okay, I made a mistake. So 2x minus 3x negative x plus 6 equal 4. So negative x equal 4 minus 6, which is negative 2. And when I divide by negative sign or negative 1, I get x equal 2. right? Are you sure? Nope. Because, okay, what we did was correct, but our final answer, if you leave your final answer like that, it's wrong. The reason you have to be careful. See, here in the beginning, we noticed x cannot be 2, but we ended up having x equal to. That means this equation has no solutions. Remember, guys, that can happen in a rational equations. Okay, let's see another equation of that kind. How about this equation? 1 over x plus 3 over x minus 4 equals 12 over x into x minus 4. Now in this case, x minus 4 can be 0, so x can be 4 and x can be 0. Why? Because you have this term and this term. So the least common denominator is going to be the product of those two terms, this one. So let's multiply the whole thing by x times x minus 4. 1 over x plus 3 over x minus 4 equals x minus 4 times 12 over x into x minus 4. Now, first term, again, without being lazy, please write it down as at this level. Once you mastered these skills, you can do these things in your mind. But just to make sure that you don't make any mistakes, please keep writing. Mathematics is an art that can be done by writing numbers and equations, variables, things like that. So you have to develop your writing skills. X can be cancelled because x is not 0, and x minus 4 can be cancelled because x minus 4 is not 0, and here both of them can be cancelled because both of them are not 0. Now this reduces into a linear equation. Plus 3x equals 12, and we get 4x equal 16 and x equal 4. But we have a problem because we agreed x is not 4, so again no solutions. Okay, so these are tricky places because student can do up to here and leave the answer like x equal 4. Well, if the teacher is giving you partial credits, that's you will get some credits, but the problem is as a final answer it's wrong. Now yeah, let's see another example. How about this? X squared minus 2x equals 2 over x minus 2. Now in this case, actually we have not yet talked about quadratic equations. We have not talked about quadratic equations in general, but we talked about factoring. So we can use this and do this example. Now, when we simplify this rational equation, it will not reduce to a linear equation, but it will reduce to a quadratic equation. Now again, the story is the same. So you take your denominators. So this guy and this guy, if you think about this x minus 2 is inside this guy. Let me show you. So x squared minus 2x. The factors, x is a factor and x minus 2. See? So this one I can write like this. So now it's easy to see the least common denominator. Least common denominator is actually this term, x into x minus 2. And looking at the equation, x can be 0 and x can be 2, right? and least common denominator x times x minus 2. Now let's multiply the whole thing by that, x times x minus 2, x times x minus 2. 1 plus 3 over x times x minus 2. Again, without being lazy, write down everything one by one. So this into this, just that. And then x minus 2, 3 over x minus 2 equals x minus 2, 2 over x minus 2. Now let's cancel things that can be cancelled. This, up, not that, this. So x, let me do it like this, plus 3 equals what is the remaining part here, 2x, right? Now you can simplify this, x squared minus 2x plus 3 equals 2x. Now let me write it over here. So when I take 2x to left hand side, I get x squared minus 2x and another minus 2x, so minus 4x plus 3 equals 0. Now quadratic equations we have not yet learned in official, but you know how to factor this, right? By factor in a trinomial. Just by observation, since you master this, is the number 3 can be made by 1 into 3, so the factors are 1 and 3, x and x, you need that, 1 and 3 you need here, and the middle number minus 1, so, and here plus, so minus and minus. So the solutions are x equal 1 and x equals 3. And another way we put it like this in curly parentheses. Now check with these, 0 and 2 are the things that we have to get rid of or omit, but 1 and 3 clearly not them. So yes, this has two solutions, 1 and 3. So mostly these rational equations appears in this kind of examples, because this is a nice example. It doesn't look like a quadratic equation from the first time when you see it, but when you simplify it will become this quadratic equation and you have those solutions. Okay guys, I think that's enough for rational equations, and in next video we'll see some applications, word problems of these equations. Thank you.